Of course, we get graphics. Hello and welcome to This Week in Gwent, a weekly show which we talk everything Gwent, and we have guests.
Speak, breathe, Pavel. Too many punchki this morning.
No,
Relax.
It's you, Flake. It's you, Flake.
It's
because
me.
we're known as, well, you used to be known as the Flurza podcast. Now we're the CCG Insider podcast crew. But what we are also, I can't speak today.
Yeah, what is going on?
Are
you all right?
I'm good. It's just been, I just had lunch, like late lunch, more like supper, dinner, something like that. So because it's 4 here, and it's just, it's a lot of good stuff.
Well, I'm just saying. Like, I've got my coffee. I'm like, the time difference for you and I is just right. Where like you're usually just like cruising into dinner time or right after, and then I'm usually just like getting up and getting my day going when we start recording. So we have like two different engines chugging as it's going. Like you have the food in you and like ready to end the day. And I have all the disappointment of the world still looming as I wake up. So.
No, you have the perfect start, the clean slate for the day. It's what I always envy, and I feel like my energy is best in the beginning of the day, worst end of the day. So whenever it's like end of the day and we have to record like something, it's just me like it's like I've been after all the meetings, all the emails, all the messages, all the work stuff. It's and in the morning I'm just like, yeah, let's go. There's so many ideas, mind is fresh and all that. It doesn't happen after 4 p.m. But yeah, we're here. Finally, I got you here. I don't know. Were you avoiding me on purpose, or did you think that let's give someone else space? Because like you and me, we talk all the time, right? We talk all the time.
Yeah, part of it is the fact that exactly that is like I was just like give other people a chance to be featured and whatnot, and like I think you had asked me like once or twice prior, and I kept saying no. I'm like, no, find someone else. Like there's other people out there, and the other part of it, not even kidding you, is the fact that I'm almost certain that all of my ideas and discussion points are going to be met with people saying that's stupid, that's wrong, that's bad, and stuff like that, because I know that I'm an acquired taste for many people in the Gwent community, and that's fine. But it is what it is, and in that case,
don't worry,
I just
bro.
said, you know what?
I love you. You have my eternal love. That's the most important thing.
That's what I want, is your everlasting love and affection. But ultimately, at the same time, when you asked me this time, I said, yeah, let's do it. Like, this is also a good opportunity, to just talk to you and just say hello to whoever's decided to, this will probably be the least viewed of all the This Week in Gwents.
No.
Guaranteed.
No.
I will slam that down that this is probably one of the least viewed, but it's all good. It is all good.
Yeah, so already like first comments. So let's get Dagon, standard rotation, premium tokens, and draft rework out of the system. So
pump those out like right now. So we'll just get this out of the way, and we're almost like treating this like a bonus Flurza, like a farewell Flurza experience. Yeah. But Dagon, not happening. Premium tokens, 953 other important things ahead of premium tokens that you should be worrying about. What else? Draft week rework? Yes, please. Draft sucks. It's not good. And
standard rotation.
And standard rotation, which I still think is a necessary monster. It's kind of like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Well, that's standard rotation. That's the enemy of the enemy that you need to befriend.
Exactly. Well, yeah. I feel like the more I've been talking to you, the more I've been thinking about rotation being a good thing. Although I'm always, I don't know. I feel like always that doesn't really fit Gwent. Maybe if the card pool was changing, if we were taking stuff and kind of revamping them or redoing and making like, similar abilities and rehashing stuff and making big sets, maybe I would be more on it. But with the card pool as it is right now, I feel like,
The thing about it is like the discussion of standard rotation was a lot more attractive when there were bigger sets that were coming out. Unfortunately, it's been 8 months and we've seen 50 cards, and I don't know if that's sustainable for a standard rotation. The only time that you can really do a standard rotation is if you have an influx of 80 card pockets or 90 card pockets every 3 to 4 months. Like that would be able to sustain it. But the conversations had, publicly and privately otherwise would suggest that that's likely not what's coming. I don't know. You would know better than I would. I'm not here to make any wild assumptions. But at this rate of card release, there's no way that you can sustain that. So it's kind of like the whole thing was like I was telling people to wear a raincoat when it was raining, but now it's not raining, it's snowing. So it's like, well, it sounds like bad advice now, but at the time it was great. So
yeah, we should take just Renfree now and just rotate her out, and everybody would be happy.
Yeah, y'all happy that Renfree's there now? People, are y'all happy of the whole? I'm gonna post a Renfree every day until someone fires me directly into the sun. Like, we get it. Like, there it is. And this is the same thing that I said. I said it isn't about. It isn't about the character. It's about they want a card that they like, because Renfree's in it, but everyone hates it now because it's so powerful. So, like, how you feeling now? Take your medicine.
It kind of is, but I feel like people are getting used to her. Of course, she will get, tweaked at the end of the month, like 100%. Like you can totally expect that. And the other things also will get some tweaks, but we'll be recording a developer video next week. I think it'll be Ryan and Jean on this one. So yeah, there will be some changes coming into the game to bring a little bit of freshness and kind of get rid of all the Renfree decks, because I feel like looking into the recent card drops, it's always something. If it's not Erendite, then it's freaking Renfree or something else. And there's always something that kind of comes in and is pretty just too powerful, right?
Stop! Don't make standalone powerful neutral cards.
Why?
They're fun, but everyone's gonna jam them in there. It's like the way that I've kind of thought about this is you can have powerful, impactful neutral cards, but they have to be conditional, and they have to be, for instance, cards like Igni or Earden or whatever. They're very powerful, they're very swingy, but they're very circumstantial. So they're not going to be in every deck. A neutral card that has that type of swing and impact potential has the following problems. Number one, if it's universally good, if it's good in so many different scenarios, then it'll be a build around card that so many people will then try to fine tune and find what faction works best with it, blah, 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 blah. The second point about it is that any kind of major impactful card, we've seen this countless times. The first thing people try to do is exploit how many times they can play it. Cards like Lippy was one of those situations. Cards like Renew had to get changed and fixed. Any kind of card that duplicates or replays another card will always be problematic in conjunction with one solid neutral piece of garbage, because that's why you have cards like Araka's Queen. Anything that duplicates, Caranthir had to get fixed and changed. Any card that allows you to duplicate or replay powerful, impactful cards are like, that's the problem, is that it's not that standalone it's fine, because it used to be a situation like, okay, here's a round where I've seen the big card, I'm probably going to lose it, so we can just pass out of this round and I'll have to win the next ones. But that's no longer the case, because it's like, oh, here's the powerful card, and I'm probably going to have to see it once or twice more. Like, that's the issue. And when you have it as a neutral, there's no escaping it in any faction or anything. You will always have to worry about that kind of big, impactful, kick your ass card.
Yeah, I also feel like Renfree and also Renfree's gang right now is kind of the ones that are kind of taking the spotlight. And I think also like Renfree's gang is quite powerful right now. But we'll see what the new month will bring. And before we get to talking just about stuff and Gwent and life and CCGs and casting and all that, quick news recap that I have. 3 things pretty much here, because I wasn't here last week because I was on holidays, which were awesome. Yeah, holidays were awesome. Were awesome. I got to fish and stuff like that. And so
I saw the picture. Sorry, it was just the way that you were coddling that fish.
Yeah, you gotta keep it good. And I let it go. I let them all go.
I've never seen a man try to like breastfeed a trout before, but
I
there you
wasn't
are.
breastfeeding it. I was giving it love and affection before I let it go. So yeah. News time. Ultimate Premium Keg plus Premium Legendary this month with Prime Gaming, so check that out. Also, we're now part of Humble Bundle, apart from 2 other titles. So check that out. And lastly, I had the pleasure of hosting the 20 years of CD Projekt Red anniversary stream for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Hearts of Stone with Marcin Przybyłowicz, who, sorry Flake, but he was always a big crush of mine when I joined the company because the guy does amazing music and he's super chill, super cool, and he's wild child, totally awesome dude to talk to.
Whatever, man. Are you gonna go and pull a Shin Miri on me and now and ditch me too? Like, is that how this is gonna go?
Never. Yeah, someone was asking about this. Yes, Flurza is no more. That's certain, 100%. How to recap this? Pretty much what we're trying to achieve here. So we're pretty much kind of slowly moving away from everything Gwent related, because I feel like Twig here is kind of our go-to place for Gwent news, Gwent information, talking with Gwent content creators. And what me and Flake kind of wanted to do is kind of more move towards more CCG oriented content and kind of have a podcast that reflects that. And we slowly started just talking about everything that is happening in CCGs. And the idea was to start a different podcast. So after 23, I think, episodes, we wrapped up Flurza and we started CCG Insider. We actually recorded the first episode yesterday, and it's bound to go out sometime during the weekend, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's Saturday or Sunday. I don't remember 100%.
I'm not sure. It might actually be today. I could be wrong. That's a Mark thing, because it used to be Flurza Fridays, right? Like that's when that used to go. I know that I have another show coming out on this on Saturday. And Mark, who does all the production there, is very adamant about 1 show per day, no duplicates, and try to get something going. So I think he's busting his ass to get it out today. So
nice.
that could be something. So go to youtube.com/983media, because there's I think Flurza is going to be eventually be on there. They're going to be uploading all the Gwent stuff on there over time. But Gwentfinity as an offshoot of 983 is done. Like that's no longer a thing. But on the path, like the Witcher podcast,
it's there.
That's going to be there.
So you think you know The Witcher?
Yeah, that trivia show. There's going to be the old school Gwent trivias are going to be there as well, and all that stuff. So, but ultimately, like you said, I mean, we there's only so much that you can sort of focus on one card game. And don't get me wrong, like I can probably drone on and on for another 100 episodes about stuff. But the problem is that it's not just the 23 episodes of Flurza that we did. It's the 4 or 5 years prior to that of putting out videos like every week that I did as well. Like I'm spent on one game, and variety is the spice of life, Pavel.
I agree.
You should know this.
Of course. Although I'm known to, when I get fixated on things and I keep on just, I have the same things with decks. I can play the same deck for months and then I pretty much stop. And then I need something fresh, but then, it's kind of wash and repeat. And I go back to the same old stuff and I redo that again, and it never ends. And I have the same thing with cycling, running. Once I stick to it, I stick to it. And consistency here is important, but I feel like we just want to grow the content, talk about different stuff, and also not be afraid that, we cannot talk about, different card games because it's only Gwent centric, right?
Damn right. Speaking of which, I'm just looking at sort of the Twitch thing. I see Mogwai and Duelist, and I was like, you just got me thinking. Yeah, I know. I'm just like, trying to look at other things. Anyways, that's a different show. That's a different thing.
That's a different show. That's a different thing. All right, Flake. How did you start your Gwent journey?
Gwent specifically, or are we talking like as a player, or?
I would say before all the casting, the content creation, all of this. Let's go back to your origin story before the Flake that we know today, with the Tailbot T-shirt and being awesome Gwent caster and awesome creator and all that.
Well, first of all, thank you for those kind words. I got into Gwent because McBeard forced me into Gwent. Frankly, well, so Gwent's McBeard's ex-wife, I guess ex-wife or wife. I don't know what the situation is there. Either way, she's been like a sister to me. Like she was my neighbor when I was like 3 or 4 years old, and we grew up as best friends. She's legitimately like my sister. I was a bridesmaid at her wedding. That's
Wow.
how close we are. Yeah, it was awesome. I would go visit her to hang out, and that's where I met Dane McBeard, and we hit it off because he was really into baseball, which I was. He was really into card games, like I was. So it was funny because I'd go visit her, and then it would just be Dane and I on the couch playing Hearthstone, and she'd be like, "All right, I'll leave you boys to yourself," and we would basically just be theory crafting all kinds of nonsense and playing and playing and playing. And then he's like, "Hey, I have this key for closed beta Gwent. Do you want it?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely, if you recommend it." And I tried it, and I didn't like it. And then he's like, "Give it another shot. It takes some time to sort of seep into your bones." And then the next time, then I started winning, and I started playing, and I would play like Henselt promote deck, and I was like, this is really awesome. Like, there's no RNG. I don't have to worry about that kind of garbage and whatever, and random boom bot explosions ruining my day. Like, none of that. So that's where that kicked in. But I had already started to stream, so I made the switch to Gwent, and that's where I met some people who essentially are like some of my closest friends to this day. People like yourself, people like Mark Theus, Alias V, and so on and so forth. And these are people who I see all the time and speak to all the time. Like, when I say card games changed my life, that is an inherent truth. Like, there's nothing. I can't understate that, because in general, this is now my career. My best friends in the world are card players and people I've met through this media and this outlet. So that's kind of where I got into Gwent as a game. Casting, though, was like that's a whole different endeavor.
Yeah, I totally feel you on this one. I've also feel like, we talk about people like McBeard, we talk about Alias. So these are people who also, like, dipped their toe into the Gwent world, and some of them less, some of them more. But I also appreciate like the people that we have met throughout the years, like Merchant, McBeard, like all these people like that have been with us. Maybe since the early beginnings, and I still remember like we were doing the first streams, the first events. These are things that I kind of always go back to and kind of appreciate, that I got to meet like so many people that, I will take on these friendships to whatever like else happens in life, and whatever happens with, with me kind of personally. So I'm really, really happy, that this is like we had this, possibility to do all these things together. So yeah, I'm always grateful for that. And I feel like it's the standard CCG kind of experience, that you have someone that introduces you to a game, and you start off with like one title. Like, I started with MTG, which I always kind of say, and then you move on to different card games because you've played one previous card game before that, or someone got you into something new and you checked it out, and the ball keeps on rolling. And it's really cool that we're all kind of card game nerds, but thanks to this, we get to meet awesome new people, and we get to interact with one another. It's just really, really crazy and cool.
And people that I have not yet met in person. Like, I've met like over the course of so many years, and being able to do this, especially casting, like meeting people like Shinmiri and meeting Jaggeris and all these are friends whom I love and adore. And this weekend, I get to meet Species, my favorite other guy from the UK, somebody whom I legitimately am so damn stoked to actually get to sit down and just shoot the breeze with. Like, it's not necessarily about just like, hey, I know your face, I've heard your voice. Like, these are people who you have really deep conversations with outside of card gaming, and that you really appreciate. So being able to just sort of see these people is freaking awesome. It's just awesome.
Yeah, just seeing them, interacting with them, spending some time hanging out. You mentioned, Species also in he was in chat, at least for a little bit in the beginning. But yeah, I had the same thing, because like I've never met Lionheart and Thea in person, but I met them when we were in TwitchCon in Amsterdam, like just like 2 weeks ago. That was also freaking amazing. Like I'm like, I know you, yet I do not know you, but you hit off with those people like instantly because we've been interacting throughout all the events that we were doing together.
I thought that Lionheart would be like 6'4" or something. I don't know what it is. But seeing the pictures, and I know that like Spessy is like 4'8", and Lionheart was only like a couple inches taller than him. So, and my whole life is just completely upside down.
Yeah.
But like to your point, when you and I met in person, like getting their suits fitted, it was we just literally looked at each other, we're like, hey, big hugs, and we're
Yeah.
instant friends the whole
Yeah.
way through.
Yeah, I had the same thing totally. When I saw Lionheart, like I remember I was going to the hotel. I stopped like earlier, one stop earlier, and it turned out that that was actually the stop to go to TwitchCon. And I went to get my pass and then to go to a hotel. And the first person I almost meet there, boom, Lionheart, and it's like, oh my god, it's awesome to see. He's like, I know. He's like, yeah, I know you too. And yeah, we hugged, and then it's a nice beginning of a friendship that can last for such a long time and can go beyond what we're doing here. And it's crazy that card games enable us to have these friendships.
And here we are.
Here we are, exactly. All right, why casting? So what was the idea with you starting out with casting? Like when was the decision made? Like I know more or less, but I don't know if everybody knows the whole story.
The whole story. I'll give you a brief version
Let's go.
because I don't want to bore people. But in high school and through college, I've always wanted to, I was always the person in class who wanted to do the like the presentations in front of the class. Like I had no fear for that. Any type of group work where everyone's like, okay, who's going to do the presentation? I'm like, I'll do it. Like I love this kind of stuff. This is where I excel. You do the hard work. I'll run my mouth like I do.
That's what I always did.
Always. Like I'm like, they're like, okay, well, whoever does it is gonna not, whoever does the presentation, like we'll do most of the work. I was like, sold, double down, win-win, easy. In high school, sorry, in college, I joined the radio station and I would have my own radio show once a week, and then I would start doing stage work and comedy work at the college. Like anytime there was like variety shows or bands or whatever, I was usually the opener or the MC, and that essentially just sparked my interest of, hey, I really like broadcasting. Like this is amazing. So I eventually interned at a sports radio station, got an airtime there with a host who really just didn't give two F's and let me, he's like, here's a microphone, say whatever the hell you want. Like, I don't care. I was like, hell yeah. Like, this is amazing. And then eventually, like when I moved away from Montreal to Toronto, I didn't really know many people here. So my evenings I was playing cards. I was playing Hearthstone, I was playing Gwent, whatever on the computer. And somebody said, hey, why don't you just Twitch stream? Like, because a lot of the times I would just send screenshots of things and whatever. I'm like, oh, you should have seen this. And then like somebody's like, well, if you actually stream it, we could watch it. So I started doing that. And it was like the perfect marriage for me. It was my passions that melded so well together that, I'm lucky enough to say with a lot of hard work, evolved into a sustainable career and one that I'm very proud of.
Nice. It's crazy because I've always had the same thing. Like whenever there was group work and there was someone to present, nobody wanted to go and actually present. And I was always the one that was like, okay, I wanna present. Like you guys do the hard work, like you do the, the like filling in stuff, like doing the writing for it. I can totally go out and act it out. Did you ever have any type of like stage fright or camera frights or something like that, or were you always kind of like, yeah, let's go, let's YOLO it?
Well, like in high school, especially early on, I was like a nerd. Like, yeah, I was a big time nerd, and I was into comic books and Star Wars before it was cool to be into comic books and Star Wars. Like, like in the late '90s, early 2000s, where it wasn't really a cool thing to walk around with like an X-wing on your T-shirt. Like that was just not the way to go. So my stage fright was often it was like in pockets, because in certain environments where I felt comfortable, I was like, okay, but like it depends who you're talking to. And high school is cruel, man. High school
Yeah.
is like, the one thing that I have to say is I'm glad I went to high school when I did, because I went to high school just as sort of like the cell phone where everyone had a cell phone. Like I finished high school when nobody had one or two people had cell phones, so it was a whole different thing. I could only imagine what social media is doing to people's mental health in high school,
Yeah, it's
man. But I'm
harder
glad
right
that
now.
I'm glad I'm not there. But I had stage fright in the early situations, but it was based on, who you're speaking with. But eventually, like with confidence, that's when it really was like the crap that you'd get from one or two people was drowned out by the appreciation that a lot of others did. And I'm like, it's just a matter of like, like your criticism, if it's not constructive, I don't want it and I don't care. I'm cool to hear negative aspects as long as you approach them from a perspective where I can improve on them. But if it's just to be malicious and a jerk, then you can go F yourself and I don't care. And once you kind of cross that bridge where you're comfortable and you're confident, stage fright is nothing, because failure is just another, it's just a locked door. You just got to go to the next one and you got to continue onward. And that's how I approached it. It still hurts and it still sucked in certain cases, but from a shy standpoint, to me, being on camera or having a microphone is just another way to improve my craft and to just improve my skill set of what I want to do, which is this. So I approached it more from, this is an opportunity,
Yeah.
and you have to sort of cherish those opportunities.
Nice. What about starting your casting in Gwent? I kind of remember, but I wanted you to kind of a little bit talk about the times of you doing Wild Hunt and kind of how that's like pretty much started your whole caster career.
Well, Wild Hunt was off of the fact that we tried, first of all, to lobby CDPR to make an event in North America, not because we think we're special, but the majority of players were from Europe, from Asia. There were North American players, but we in North America, myself, people like Mark Theus, No Control McBeard, people like us, really wanted to pump the tires of the game here and show North America, because North America was dominated by Hearthstone and dominated by Magic. There was just no, paper was Magic, digital was Hearthstone, there was nothing else. And this was something completely different. And the Wild Hunt tournaments were our way to essentially show CDPR and say, hey, there's substance here. Like, if a bunch of clowns could put together a circus of this magnitude, then there's something here that you guys should pay attention to. So we did one. It was super successful. We did a second one, and it was better than the first one. And I mean, these small little community tournaments had, a couple thousand viewers concurrent on Twitch for a small out-of-pocket tournament. But the most important part was that the community from North America flew in from like Canada, from all over the US to attend this tournament in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
But after the tournament, it was just like everybody wanted to hang out and have a good time. So Wild Hunt for me was just sort of my way to promote and celebrate the game and its North American, grassroots footprint that it had. But what it did beyond that was, that's what sort of, after that tournament, that's where I got a message from like Vlad saying, hey, like, great job, you guys, you're doing amazing, would you like to host Gwent Challenger 4 or something? And I was like, hell yeah, this is all I want to do. Absolutely all I want to do. So that's where I went to, that's when I went to Poland, and it's sort of like, that's where yeah, that's where we met, and everything sort of has been honky-dory since then. That was the launch pad. But like, in all honesty, Wild Hunt was three dudes saying, if no one's going to give it to us, so let's take it. And we did it. And that's basically what it was.
I remember you also had a very nice venue for it. I remember that, everybody had like really cool stations to play the game in person. So it was a really awesome like LAN tournament, but also it was one of those events that I got an invite, but I didn't go at that time because company decision in this case. So that was kind of bad, but I really wanted to go. And I feel like it's one of those missed opportunities that I never got to go and witness that in person, because it was just amazing. And like you said, and I feel like it has been like this for any like in-person tournament that we did, is that whenever you do that and you meet the people, you want to hang out with them and you want to stay in touch with them even after the whole thing is over. Like nobody treats it like a 9 to 5 job that you go into, you're done, you go home, like you're like, see ya suckers, I'm done, right? Nothing like that. So it's really amazing, and yeah, it's a really cool story. So I'm happy that you told it as it was.
No, I appreciate that. Well, I mean, like I said, it was really the launch pad for friendships and my career, and I can never. It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I'm glad looking back that we did it, and we did it a few times, and that's the important part, man. That first tournament, dude, we were like, yeah, we can do like 6 rounds of Swiss and a top 8 in a day.
That was long.
No, that was not work. It's like best of 5. It was like best of 5s or something like that. I'm like, my God, it was an absolute. We started the tournament at 10, and I think we concluded it at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And I did from 10 to 2 a.m. And big props to people like McBeard and whoever else was casting, because they also went the distance. And it was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare physically, but when it was done, it was like, that's it. And again, hard work pays off. I say this all the time. Like, you want it, go take it. No one's just going to give it to you.
Exactly. I remember like we had the same growing pains when it came to like doing the first challenger. Whenever we did the first one, I think I was doing the Polish casting with Lothar for that one, and I think it was like 12 or 13 hours nonstop of casting. And because we wanted to do, both the quarterfinals, the semis, and the finals in one day, because why not? But then we learned like, let's kind of split it into 2 days, because one day having everything happening one that day is like a whole long venture. And it's also crazy to keep viewership on that, because people just want to, they want to take a break. Unless, for me also, when I watch like long events, I just tune in and tune out, tune in and tune out, depending on when I have the time, right?
Yeah, but props to you, man. Like, the nightmare of doing that kind of thing. That's why, like, when I got asked to do an event for Flesh and Blood, like in the next month, they're like, it's just going to be you doing 2 straight days. I was like, we're good. I'm like, you must be new here. Like, let me explain to you why that's a bad idea. So,
yeah, I think we all learn. And you mentioning now Flesh and Blood, I think they're also kind of learning, and the organizers are learning how to do casting for it, because I mean, doing also events which are, when you're playing the game physically, also require like additional work, and it's like a whole different logistic thing. Like, I know for us it was, it's hard to get all the casters and players on time when it's only like top 8. But imagine having thousands and thousands of people to actually show up to their tournament and play in person. I still remember like all the big Magic Pro tours, and seeing like on the players' Twitters that I was following at that time, kind of coming in and saying like, okay, so this is day 1, and you see like a whole, like almost like a warehouse full of just people like sitting in tables and jamming cards. It's so cool. So yeah, I promised myself that for the next any like in-person events that are going to be happening in Warsaw, which are going to be big, it doesn't matter if it's like Magic, if it's Flesh and Blood, if it's Gwent, if it's whatever, like I want to go to all of them. And I feel like this kind of stopped because of the pandemic. Like, remember, we were just going to do World Masters. And then we had the venue booked, we have everything booked. McBeard was also, I think he was already at the airport, and then whoop, gotta go back home. Like, COVID started, and then everything went.
I was on my way, like my bag was packed, it was at the door, and I was at my computer just checking last second emails. I'm like, oh, my Uber is going to be here in like 15 minutes. And I got a message from McBeard saying, did you see what Repek sent? And I said, no. So I log into Discord, and I see a message from him, and he's like, don't go to the airport. I was like, oh boy. Okay. And that's essentially what happened, was like, the whole thing got turned upside down, and I have not been back since, except
next week.
Woo! Love it.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Yeah, remember to send me your flight details so I'm up to speed. Like you probably I mean, you don't have to like be a wizard or anything, but you'll probably see me at the airport because I just can't wait to see you.
Dude, if you are, well, this is the other thing. Are you picking me up? Like,
I
I need to know.
I will.
Will you actually pick me up? I'm
Yeah,
so
dude,
excited.
come on.
Because, well, because you already signed me up for like 2 Flesh and Blood tournaments in Warsaw, which I'm
One
super
only,
psyched
one
about.
only. It's either
Only
Wednesday or
one?
Thursday. It depends. That depends.
Okay.
So it
Okay.
depends. We can do 2, we can do 1, but it's all up
I
to
mean,
you.
like, I don't know what everyone, like, because the Wednesday, I flew in on, like, I chose to fly in the Wednesday because I wanted to see you guys. And I was like,
Yeah.
I told them, I said, listen, if it's nothing to you guys, you know, like, fly me in on the Wednesday, and I just want to spend some time with my buddies. And, if I get off that plane and go through customs, and like the first thing is like rolling through, because the way that it used to work was you just look for a dude in a suit holding a sign that says Gwent on it, and I'm like, yeah, it's us, I guess. But if it's you in your bike shorts, you know, with a coffee in your hand waiting for me, I'd be like, yeah. But it's like it's an overnight flight, and like the last time I did this, I woke up on the Tuesday.
You'll be tired.
Flew overnight overnight Tuesday. Couldn't sleep on the plane. I was so excited. Landed Wednesday and spent the entire. So I was up for like 36 or 40 hours. It was ridiculous, and it was Shinmiri and I being dragged around old Warsaw by Demorkis, saying, "Yeah, let's just go up this gigantic tower. We're gonna take the stairs." Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, because he's in the same time zone, so he's like, I don't care. Let's go.
Yeah, I know. Meanwhile, Shinmiri honestly was like had traveled for 20 straight hours or something like that, coming from Seattle, and I went overnight, and we're just there, and all we want is just, dude. I'm like, we just want to like chill. He's like, yeah, we'll chill downtown Warsaw, and we walked around, and oh my god! And eventually, Shinmiri and I were like, dude, I like, which one of us is pushing him off this tower? Like, which one of us is pushing him off? It's like we want to go back to the hotel.
Yeah.
Love the guy to death. Like Demorkis is awesome, but Shinmiri and I were like, dude. But for you, I'll sleep on the plane. We're gonna land, okay? You pick me up. We go number 1 coffee punchki place, whatever your favorite place is, or we grab lunch or do whatever. Then we jam Flesh and Blood, and I'm going to train you for the armory in the evening. Deal. And then we're good. And then you just have to tell Dominica, it's like, listen, couch, Flake, bed, let's go.
Oh, so good. But yeah, that's the plan. I was gonna surprise you, but then I kind of felt like, nah, no surprise. I'll just be there, so you don't plan anything.
With a big sign.
Yeah, big sign. Yeah.
I love it.
I love player, Flake, hello.
It's just gonna be you
today.
Yeah, and we're gonna go, and you didn't drive a car, right? Like, we're gonna go. You're like, I'm like, where's the car? You're like, oh no, don't worry about it. It's you on your sick bike, and it's like, oh, I got one for you, and it's a little tiny bike with like tassels off of the handlebars, and like it makes noise when you bike it. Yeah. It's got like oh my god, give me that. I want that, and then I'm just gonna hitch my luggage to the back of it, and it's like, oh, how far is it to where we're going? Oh, 47 kilometers. Yeah. Easy ride.
Yeah.
Easy ride.
Yeah, just like a warm up ride. Let's go.
Oh man, I would love it. I would love it.
Yeah, someone mentioned in chat, like, I'm gonna take you like instantly to cycle around the city.
I wouldn't mind.
Tired, like no.
I will be.
I think we'll just chill pretty much.
Thank you. I mean, we can do that stuff on the Thursday. Like, I'm cool with that. Yeah. But I'm there for several days. Like the whole thing is like, when am I gonna go back to Poland, right? So drop in early, leave on the Monday. Spend some time with Specky and Bursha, and see all my good friends. But I think people like Tia and Lion, I've never met them. Yeah. But I've met Seely, and Seely. My story of meeting Seely, I may have said this.
This is a great story.
So meeting Seely, it was at one of the tournaments. I think it was I don't know if it was like one of the World Masters or something, but it was the one where you had fans come in and they got to watch it in the studio.
It was Challenger 5, if I remember correctly. It was the one that we did in the studio, but yeah, it was the only Challenger we did in the studio itself. Remember, we had Eridan and stuff like that, and we also had community people come in and kind of do like a live watching of the whole thing in the cafeteria canteen area of the studio.
Yes, I remember because I think Ash Cosplay was
Yeah,
there. There's a lot of good people. This was the one where I dressed up in the Arcaspor cosplay.
yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, it was that one. So I remember because between matches, the studio where things are recorded, for those who don't know, is in a separate little building next to the main CDPR building. So after we recorded and did our match, McBeard and I go back to the area, and like I go back, I take off my like suit jacket or whatever, and I still had the Arcaspor bonnet cosplay thing. So I just had it on, and I went, and I'm looking for a place to sit so that I can watch the games on the big screen. And I just sit at a table, and it just happened that it was next to Sealy, and I didn't really know Sealy. You know, I didn't know Sealy very well, so I just said, I'm like, hey, how's it going, this and that, and she kind of looks at me, and I've got this stupid bonnet on my head, and she's like, she's gave me these like get the hell away from me, you freak vibes, and I was like, oh, okay, like I was just and I think she just didn't say much, and I remember because afterwards I've spoken to her about this, and she's like, no, that's not what it is, it's not what it is, it was just I was just like I was shy and this and that. I'm like, oh, you made me look like I was like a donkey, like just
Yeah.
showing up and sitting next to you. So but that was such a good vibe. And I will say this, the feeling I get now going into tournaments at like convention centers or
Hmm.
venues where there's tons of people is the same kind of love and sort of warm feeling you get when I went into those tournaments in Warsaw, and not just the ones where there was an audience and a crowd that you can go and say hello to, but just even just going there and saying hello to all the people who work at CDPR, like you
Yeah.
and Vlad and Repek and Mateusz and all these other people, and even Dominica. It was so much fun, but
Yeah.
it was just a great experience.
It's a whole different vibe, and I feel like it is something that I missed a lot, especially now that we're doing everything online, and we're still doing it most likely this year because like convenience wise, it's much more convenient to do it, but it just I miss the aspect of actually having everybody in the studio and actually welcoming everybody to our studio, getting to talk after the whole thing because the events themselves like it's a lot of planning, the execution itself, like everything needs to be done
It's
perfectly.
expensive too.
Yeah,
I mean, I know that you guys probably don't want to say that, but it's the fact of the matter is if you're flying in, a
people
dozen
from around the
people,
world. Yeah,
you're literally flying in 8 players and 4 casters. Like that's expensive. It's
yeah,
absolutely expensive, and I can understand. That said, don't get me wrong. Like getting flown to Warsaw and hanging out for 5 days was like a dream come true. Like that
yeah,
was. I'm like, damn. Like this is amazing. But I can see that. Like what I would say is like if you did all the opens remotely, but the World Masters was an on location thing. I think that's like that's
that works.
I think that's fair
Yeah,
moving forward. I just feel bad, honestly, for the people who now are not going to get the chance to. Like, COVID really just kind of screwed things up because it used to be what, like 5 or 6 opens and
yeah,
3 or 4
yeah,
challengers. Like,
yeah,
we would be flying to Warsaw like 10 or 12 times
nonstop.
a year.
Yeah,
It was amazing. It
yeah,
was so amazing.
yeah. Times have totally changed because of what has been happening, but I also think, I mean, one thing is, of course, there are some negatives coming out of this, like us, being away from each other, but also I feel like the whole COVID situation kind of opened up possibilities for people to do things remotely. And also like you can do now multiple gigs in multiple places and just have, things go on all the time. And, you're keeping the cadence and the pace and you can do more because you're not losing any time traveling in between and doing other stuff. So work wise, it's a blessing. Like I also enjoy working mainly from home, not going to the office. Like in this case, I can next week go and pick up Flake from the airport, right? Because I can
Woo!
it's much more convenient than me going to the office and from the office, to pick them up. And yeah, it makes life easier. But also on the other hand, I feel like I to some extent like to be surrounded by people, and there are days that I just go to the office for the sake of going to the office to actually seeing people, talking to people, interacting with them, and being surrounded by the people that I remember. It kind of shows you more, the social aspect of actually being part of a bigger thing, an office where people work. So that's also
That
one
and
thing that I kind of enjoy.
using that amazing coffee machine you guys have at the office. That
Yeah, we
thing's
have a good one at
badass.
home now, so we're good.
Oh, okay. That works.
So don't no worries, no worries.
I
You'll check it out.
just saying, I mean, I got a hotel,
I know.
but that's a backup. That's where my luggage sleeps.
Yeah.
I'm at your place. That's where
Yeah.
I'm going.
Just yeah. Bring the cars and let's go.
I will. I'm not even kidding you, man. Like, so I filled up this box with cards for you. Okay.
Damn.
For you and Ryan. And as I'm still sorting stuff, I still have all this to give
Damn.
you, and this times two, essentially. It's this times two.
Damn.
And there's easily like 20 or 30 Majestics in there that I'm still sorting through.
I'm happy that I did not invest yet in all the singles. So
well, yeah, like
after
the commons
that,
and stuff.
After that, I will.
don't buy old product is what I'm saying, because
yeah.
I'll hook you up. Like, you buy the singles of the Majestics and the equipment and stuff that you need, but like when it comes to, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's super awesome to open packs and whatever, but maybe we'll get a box while we're there. Like, maybe we'll have some fun. I don't know.
Nice.
I'll see.
Especially like you're coming with your dollars here, and everything's gonna be so cheap. Everything is so cheap for anyone coming from like that makes money in euro or dollars. Like, coming to Poland, everything just costs nothing.
I went to get some of them sweet złotys, and I'm gonna be just throwing it around like crazy. I don't even know. It used to be that it was like 3 zloty to 1 Canadian dollar. I don't know, or and 4 to 1 for
4
US.
to 1 to US. It's almost 5 to 1 to US now. So US
is
like you come here and you get anything you want.
Like, I went to the bank and I was like, because I have 2 accounts. I have a USD account and a Canadian account, and I said, I'm like, can you transfer? Because I need euros as well, because I'm going to France. And I'm like, I need zloty. So I was like looking at the exchange rates or whatever. I'm like, can you exchange the USD into PLN? And they're like, well, we'll see. And they go, blah. They're like, well, we'll have to change the USD to Canadian, then Canadian to whatever. And I'm like, I'm losing on 2 transactions here. And I'm like, you bastards at the bank. So it didn't quite work out. But I don't, like you said, one of the biggest revelations to me was when we were in Warsaw, and I think it was like in the morning one time, and I was just walking around looking for a coffee. I got a coffee, and I went into this random bakery, and I was like, this like cheese Danish is like 40 cents.
Yes.
I'm like, these are like $3 back home. Like, what is going on?
And the food is good. Like the baked stuff is really good.
Dude, there was one time, I'll never forget this. My mother was born in Poland, so I was talking to her on the phone as I'm there, and I was just telling her, I was looking around I called her, I said, how do you say cheese Danish in Polish? I want a cheese Danish. So she told me, and then I'm going, and I was looking, I'm like, I can't see it. And she's like, give the phone to the person working there. So it's like my mom speaking to this older lady, bakery lady. And first of all, when I was looking for a bakery, I'm like, which bakery has the oldest woman working at it? Like, that's the one I want to go to. And I go, and my mom's talking and they're speaking in Polish. I'm like, just like, this is long distance, Mom. My mom's like having a conversation with a stranger. They're laughing, and I'm just there standing like with my coffee, just waiting for my pastry. Like, my mom's having a conversation, and I'm like, I get the phone back. She's like, oh yeah, she's a very nice lady. She has a son, just like you. I'm like, why are you having these deep conversations?
Life story in a nutshell was shared during that call. Yeah, I
was like, Ma, call your own friends. Like, this is costing me like $2 a minute. Like, stop.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, we're going to have so much fun, and we're doing this for the anniversary party. Someone was asking if this is like an invite only. It is. We invited people from the community that are pretty much friends and family in order to celebrate everything CDPR and 20 years of the studio. So we'll have people that know us through and are part of the community through Gwent, of course, to The Witcher, Cyberpunk. There's a lot of cool activities planned. So we're going to have a whole full day packed with lots of awesomeness. Some things that Flake, you've probably seen, like some parts of the studio, but there will be studio tours, but there also will be a lot of cool stuff, which is some of it is top secret behind the scenes, so I won't be sharing anything and spoiling anything. So
I have to say one thing that really tipped me off or got me somewhat excited. When I got my travel itinerary, it said flying to Warsaw, here's your departure time, here's your ticket, 1 check bag, 1 carry-on, blah, blah, blah. Flying home, here's your ticket, here's your whatever, here's your 1 carry-on, 2 checked bags to come home. I was like, they're giving me an extra checked bag to come home. I was like, are they giving me something big that I have to check into the airplane? Like, I'm really not sure, but that got in my brain and got the
it's just me in the suitcase.
It's just you contorted in there. I'm just gonna literally shove like a box of punchki in there and like some instant coffee in a thermos. I'm like, see you in 8 hours, buddy. Bye. Yeah. And it's gonna cut to the scene of the conveyor belt with people loading the luggage, and it's just your piece of luggage, and all I hear is bye.
Oh, so good. Bye, Poland. Yeah, like
that'd be so good. Can you fit in a carry-on? I would just wheel you in. Like,
yeah. I think we could do it.
I'll just like bust you out there. I don't think the plane's gonna be full, but I mean,
yeah. If there's like, if there's fluids and punchki on board, then I'm fine.
Hey, that's all you need.
Exactly.
And then you're in Canada. Look, like it's beautiful outside today. When are you coming to visit me, man? Like, don't you? Market research.
It's on my list. I need to. I haven't been, to be honest. I think the last time that I was over the big water, as they say, in 2013. I think that was the last time that I was. I think I was there in New York, but New York is like very. It's much closer flight than going to LA or going anywhere else, right?
New York is right next to Melissa of GWENT fame.
Yeah.
Mel Gwent.
Yeah.
Max is gone. Max is but I cool story about Melissa is that when I was doing Pro Tour in New Jersey for Flesh and Blood, we organized like going to get dinner. So I met Melissa and Max for dinner. And that was awesome. It was great. We hung out. We had a bunch of laughs. It was a great time. Couple days later, the people from Channel Fireball, who I was working for, took us all out for dinner to some random bar, like this random sort of restaurant bar place. And as the Uber pulls up, I get out of the van, and all of a sudden, someone runs right out of the place like, oh my God, it's you. And it was Melissa again. I'm like, what the hell? She's like, this is the place I go. This is my bar. Like, this is my favorite restaurant or whatever. And she was there again. And I got to meet her parents, and it was amazing. It was such an awesome experience.
I love stories like that. I just love stories like that. Like you interact with people, you meet them. Sometimes you don't even have like a face to associate with some of the people because they're just like in your chat, for example. And then you get to meet them in person. You're like, so this is you, right? And they tell you like their username. I'm like, oh my God, it's like we've known each other for, such a long time. It's crazy.
There are people out there, honestly, like this is why it's such a different thing, because even some of my best friends in the entire world are people I met playing Halo 3 like 12 years ago. Yeah. As ridiculous as that sounds, it's the truth. But way back when, it was taboo to say like, oh, I'm meeting friends from the internet. And I'll never forget this because some of my friends that I met playing Halo randomly grouped up in a lobby. We drove to the States to meet them, and going through customs, it's like, what are you doing? We're going to go meet our friend from the internet who we do not know. Yeah. It's like, what? Okay, you psychos, like go enjoy being murdered.
Yeah, but that was the sentiment at that time. It was like, you don't know who that is, right? Can be anyone.
Yeah, they're going to chop you up and put you in the freezer. But what's funny is that like that group of like 6 people, I was a groomsman in 3 of their weddings. Like, it's just amazing how this kind of happens. But that's the nature of it, because now when I go travel for these events, I am so looking forward to seeing my quote unquote my friends, like my actual closest friends and people who I speak to on a daily basis. And Melissa and Max were like those. It's like you see them because your interactions are so one-sided, because you see their face and hear their voice, but they only see the text of the chat, unless it's reversed, and then they're in my chat and we're chatting. But it's rare that you have that back and forth, and that's why I'm so glad that we can get back to this. And in reality, that's why I love paper card games so much, because you have to group up and you have to meet.
You have to meet in person.
Yeah,
it's a blessing and a curse, because for the paper ones also, like you need to be interacting in a way that you cannot just fire up the game online and jam some games like in between each other. Like testing is much different, and this is also something that, when I met the people that play Flesh and Blood in Warsaw, the community here, they said pretty much that it's very hard to define the metas depending on where you go, because of the fact that you don't know what people are playing, and you don't see it on an online meta. There's no report or anything like that. There's no statistics. You can anticipate what people might bring, but then you go to the place and then you actually see what people are playing there. So it's really cool.
Yeah, it's a good experience, man.
Yeah.
Like, plus digital clients are fun, but I will always prefer that feeling of sitting across from somebody, asking what their name is, shaking their hand, nice to meet you, or you might know them already, and playing there. And now I'm at that stage now where people are like, oh my god, it's you, and I'm like, dude, you're like, oh my god, it's me, it's a free win, you're gonna kick my ass kind of thing. Like, don't worry about it. People get so intimidated, and to the degree where sometimes it's like I feel like I'm cheating because people feel intimidated. They're like, I don't know, I'm just so nervous playing against you. I'm like, dude, I'm just like anyone else. I might beat you, but
I remember when Gwen kicked off here in Warsaw in the early beginnings, and we had a large influx of players at that time, and I started doing more on-camera stuff for CDPR, and I went to like the Magic tournaments, which I always went to, and nobody would recognize me then. Then after that, everybody was like, "Oh my god, I know you! You're from CDPR. You work on Gwent, right?" And that's how I met a lot of the people that I still, when I go to the same shop, like my local game store, these are the people that I've met in that way. So we're still friends, and we still they're like, hey, what's up with you? You still doing your Gwent stuff? Yeah, I'm still doing my Gwent stuff. I'm like, oh, I'm trying to make like content for MTG and stuff like that. So, it's becoming like a whole nice thing. And I feel like this episode, which we're doing right now, it's just about how wholesome and welcoming the community is itself, and actually getting to meet these people in person just makes one big friendship kind of moving forward and stuff like that.
Damn right. I mean, there's people I don't care to meet, but most of you, I'm absolutely 100%. Cantarelka, I want she should come to she should come to Warsaw.
Yeah,
come. Well, we'll all have coffee.
Exactly.
Discuss.
And Ponchki.
And Ponchki, yes. I'm 29 days into this fitness challenge thing, this wellness challenge. I've lost a little bit of weight. I'm feeling good. I've got like the Tailbot shirt, but I'm actually trying to rock the Tailbot, the pipe show of Tail. Working on it, but I've been putting in some work, and now my shorts actually fit. I can button them, which is a nice thing. But once dude, I'm telling you, it's like, it's only meant to be 1 month. I'm obviously going to try to keep up the healthy aspect of it, but now I'm, rather than having like 2 cheat days a month, I'm going to give myself 1 a week. So when we're there in Warsaw, there's a good chance that I burn all 4 in that 1 day in August.
Don't worry, it's fine. Like, I think the days that you'll be here, like, I think we'll be quite active, just like going around town, and also the events itself and all that stuff. Like, I feel like whenever I go to any type of event where you meet with people, like, you're always somewhere, you're always going somewhere, you're always doing something, and the calorie count and the amount of like steps that you do on a daily basis is just like, you're always going somewhere, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. You're running around. Unless maybe we get one of those bikes where it's like kind of like one of those like rickshaw style bikes where I'm sitting in the back and you're just driving me around. Like, or
just a tandem. I'll be doing all the pedaling and you're just
chilling. If we're doing a tandem, I need like a really comfortable seat that can recline, and I could just I'll put my legs on your. Put my feet up on your shoulders. I'll be like, "You're doing well, Pavel. Good stuff, buddy." I'll have like a stick, a stick with like a punchki on a string in front of you, and you're just like, just going after it.
I'm the horse of this carriage setup.
Nice. You do all the work. Yeah.
Easy clap. All right, it's been over an hour. We try to keep these in around the hour. Is there any?
When do we ever follow that though? Too bad. Like,
no.
I thought, who's in charge here? I'm just saying,
Me.
like, this is
Me.
Is it you?
Yeah.
So yeah, screw it. Like, I got nothing to do for.
Yeah.
I think I got a call I got to make in like an hour, but I'm good, man. Let's keep going now. I don't want to ruin your show.
It's all good. We're, this is one of those where I feel like the majority of people like watching this, they already know you. But there are some like cool stories that you already kind of shared that kind of showcase your personality and stuff like that. And I also wanted to kind of um circle it back to your personality and the way that you cast. Like you always say that you're an acquired taste, that some people might like it, some people might not like the way you do casting. But what kind of formed you in the way that you do casting, like with all the things like you can we're talking about this on the podcast also. You can do like a 15-20 minute thing about your room where you talk about what you have in your room to kind of buy time. But you're also, when you do your casting, you're not the one that is only focusing on the plays and on the interactions and all that, but get to kind of do some pop culture references and stuff like that. Where did that form for you?
Well, so the one thing that I have to say, first of all, when it talks about stories, one day I will share. Well, I've shared it a billion times by now. But people, if ever you see me, you can ask me about the Shinmiri Balls story. That's one of my favorite stories. Is the Shinmiri Balls story, and that story essentially solidified my appreciation for Shinmiri, and basically locked in the fact that I'm like, I can work with this guy. I can totally work with this guy. So let's see. I mean, my personality is what it is, and this is the one thing that I always tell people is what you get on camera is typically what you get
In person.
in person. Minus, like, on camera, there's a lot less swearing because I have to not swear. But the one criticism or the one thing that sort of bothers me from seeing people cast is that who they are and on camera is what they believe a caster should be. It's not who they are. It's their image of what a broadcaster sounds like, looks like, and acts like.
Yeah.
That to me is a very not genuine approach to what you're supposed to do, because you're supposed to be who you are. And that's why when I'm telling jokes or making references or whatever, these are the same things that I would do talking about anything. So I learned long ago in various facets of life, be it love or work or anything, is that the easiest thing you can do is be yourself, because it's the most reliable way. You'll never get caught in a lie. You'll never be exposed. You'll never be surprised or caught off guard if you're always yourself, because you'll never, it's like one of those things where it's like you don't need a good memory if you tell the truth. Like,
Yeah.
it's the same situation. So when I see people who are casting and their streams are different than their casting, let's say, or their whatever, they put on a persona, and I find that so disingenuous because it's not who they are. So at that point, they're trying to sell something that they're
is not
not.
them, right?
That is not them, and I no longer trust them, and I no longer appreciate, or I lose appreciation for the craft. So many years ago, I just said, I'm just going to be myself, and people are going to like it or people are not. I'm kind of like the pineapple on pizza of casting. Like, you either love me or you hate me, and there's no in
No.
between. Well, no, and I'm cool with that. I know I don't care if a lot of people don't like me, because the people who do like me, and that's cool. And the people who hate me, well, I don't know them. So, it's no skin off my back. But what's important to me is the integrity of what I do, making sure that when I am broadcasting, that I'm first and foremost doing the game justice, doing the people who hire me justice, like,
Yeah.
making sure that they're happy. And after that, it becomes I care about what Twitch chat has to say.
Yeah.
But that, like, where Twitch chat's response to who I am is not even on the first 10 pages of things I give a shit about when it comes to casting. It's integrity of the game, the integrity of what I do, and do the people who are paying me like what I do.
Yeah.
And
But yet,
so
the most important thing is you keep professionalism as something as like the most important thing. Like the game, you need to do the game justice. That's the most important thing. You do your casting and you always prepare. Like we always say that, yeah, we know like Flake, Shinmiri, they always will be prepared for any event that we do. Like it's something that we don't even, like we don't ever think about it. Like we never second guess. Like it doesn't matter if you guys, are playing the game at a given moment in a given season, like we know that when casting is going to happen, like everybody will be on top of their game, and there's like a, you know, there's a trust thing, like we have a really good relationship amongst each other. And yeah, I feel like it's just you've shown it in and out, but like you said, personality can be an acquired taste. And
Well,
but
the other
like
thing,
if you're genuine, then I feel like that is something that I gravitate towards. If someone is being themselves and they're not trying to be someone else, or they're trying to be like, oh, look at me, I am this, you know, like professional caster, I cannot say funny things, I cannot do stupid references, or do, you know, some quirky things on camera, then you're kind of, even though you feel like you want to, you're kind of, you know, portraying something that is not 100% you, right?
well, if I have to, like, there's so much going on during a broadcast and like a major tournament that if I have to worry about playing a role, that takes some of the bandwidth out of my brain to focus on the game and focus on what's going on. So I'm like, why am I going to worry about that? If I'm what flows out of me is what's natural and what I don't have to worry about. There's like 1% of my brain that's active to keep swear words from shooting out of my mouth. But beyond that, it's like I dedicate nothing to playing a role. So that's just what it is. And
you see what you get. That's what I always like. I like that saying. Like, what you see is what you get. Like,
exactly. And I listen, I know that there's a lot of people out there who are like, well, why don't I ever get a shot casting? Well, probably because either you're a jerk or you're not genuine, or you're two different people. Like, that's part of it. Like, sometimes it's like, you know, I see those kinds of concerns and complaints, and I'm like, this is why you're not, because you're not necessarily that kind of dude. Anyway, that's a whole other ball game. But ultimately, being genuine and being yourself is the easiest way to focus on other things. So that's the one. When I get a compliment, the favorite ones I get are when people who meet me are like, wow, he's exactly the same guy on camera as he is in real life. And to me, it's just like, yeah, like, why would you want to be anything else? Like, I got to where I am because of who I am. I'm not going to.
It's the most important thing, right? You gotta be 100% yourself. And if you are, you people know kind of what to expect from you when they actually meet you in person. Or like, hey, I already know you, right? And you're like, you're everything that I expected, because you behave in the same way that you behaved during, you know, any online interaction that we had.
Well, it's like you're a cyclist. You've done a whole bunch of races, and as a like runner as well. It's like, if you have a strategy that's working for you, and you're going and you're going and you're going, and all of a sudden you turn a corner and there's like a bunch of crowds that are watching you, and suddenly you're like, oh, people are watching me. Time to change what I'm doing. Why? Like, why would you change that? What has been successful for you, and put on a different face and whatnot, and that's kind of, you know, go with what works. And
with crowds, I only get more energy, because people, I love whenever there's like, I try to always do like a one marathon a year, and I always do the Warsaw one, and I just do it for the energy of the people that are there. Just people running, people from different walks of lives, people doing it. I always do it for charity, so that's also another aspect of the whole thing. Like, it doesn't matter what the time is, doesn't matter what if I'm PRing or not, but just doing it for like the vibe and the overall like energy that you get from people in the event itself is just amazing, right? So that's kind of the thing that I stick to. But yeah, I feel like, you know, it's very easy to get maybe you know, kind of drunk on the whole thing of like being known a little bit more, and it is something that we kind of both kind of had a similar how to say it, like we both had the same kind of thing when it comes to, we became a little bit more well known within a community, and people would recognize us, like come up to us, and the weirdest things were like people asking for you know, for like autographs and stuff like that. It was something that I never anticipated, and I was like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, don't treat me as someone from, you know, from this company that, you know, I'm well recognized and stuff like that. I mean, it's just I'm just a normal person, and I'm really happy to meet you. Like, what are you all about? Like all that stuff. And it's. I think we're both a little bit just more humble in this sense, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, also there's a reality to it. Like people would always say, like, "Oh, you're like my notoriety in Flesh and Blood like vastly surpasses whatever I accumulated or developed in Gwent." It's just that's just the fact, and that's the truth. And when I go to events, a lot of people like I was at an event once. I was at a tournament, and somebody opened a card that I was able to spoil for that set. And like they came, they're like, "Can you sign it? Can you sign it? Like, can you sign my playmat?" Like that. When I go to like major tournaments, people are like, "Can I get pictures? Can you sign my autograph? Can you sign my card?" And I'm like, "This is so, dude. Like, this is
Yeah.
weird." And then when people are like going out for dinner or whatever, I'm like, "Oh, you guys have like space for one more?" They're like, "Flake wants to come have dinner." I'm like, "Yeah, dude. I eat like you. Hey, guess what? I shit too. Like I do all these things that you guys do. Like incredible, right?"
Yeah.
And it's fascinating, but it's a very humbling experience. But at the same time, like you have to appreciate it. Like us being quote unquote, somebody referred to it as card game famous. Like being card game famous is so different because you have this very niche group of people who know and appreciate what you do. But the second that the camera's off or you're not at an event, you're as anonymous as everyone else. So it's quite fascinating in that regard. But yeah, man, I wouldn't change this. I'm doing what I love, and
Same.
I hope that people. I hope that it's apparent that this isn't a job for me. This is a passion that has translated into, a viable and sustainable career.
Yeah, and that's what also makes it real. Like the passion shows through, and it's something that I've seen throughout anything that is connected to our studio or to the community or to the casters that we interact with. Like everybody has like we have this thing common ground that we all like go towards to, which is in this case was Gwent or was The Witcher before that and stuff like that. Is kind of where this is like the foundation, and based off of this foundation we kind of built like new relationships and kind of go off of that. So that's amazing.
You and I need a daily radio show.
Yeah, totally.
Like
8
10 minutes
hours
of music.
nonstop.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say like we do like 5 minutes of it, like a chat segment. Then there's like 10 minutes of music where you and I are just eating ponchki, listening to music.
Yeah,
and then
vibing like
boom. And it's like, yeah, then we come back and then we could have that cool radio voice. And we're back. It's K103. It's Pavel at Borja and Matt DeMarco with you this morning.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful day in Warsaw. What are you up to?
Yeah.
Here's Never Gonna Give You Up.
Yeah. Oh, Never Gonna Give You Up. That's a good one.
Just jamming some songs. Yeah.
Apparently, Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush is the new stuff thanks to Stranger Things. So that's what everybody's are listening to.
I gotta jam that show. I skipped like after season 2. I was like, steep decline, and but I heard that season 3 was good and season 4 is really good.
Like we're almost.
I got work to do.
I know. Got work to do. We're almost done with it. Like now we're like on the final episodes, but it's like so good, so good.
I got it out. An 8 or 9 hour plane ride. I'm like looking for. I have a couple of friends who are doctors, and I'm like, dude, whatever the most legal over the counter thing is that'll just knock me the f out on the plane. Like, can you tell me exactly what that should be? So my doctor's like, get this. It's effective if you do it like once a month. You'll take it and you'll fall asleep. But I'm like, sweet.
So how long is your flight in total?
It's an overnighter. Like I'm trying to think. So it departs at like 10 or 11 p.m. and arrives in Poland at like noon local, and there's like a 6-hour difference.
Yeah.
So I think it's like it's a 7-hour flight or so, 6 or 7 hour flight. It's not that bad.
It's manageable.
Yeah, but it's great. And the cool part is it's on LOT Airlines.
Yeah.
And the last time I flew LOT, the video they show, like the security video they show, like the safety video, has a dude on it, like a cartoon dude that looks exactly like me. And I've taken pictures of this and I'd showed people. I'll try to dig it out of my phone to show you. But the cartoon dude that they have showing the safety features, it's
Mini
like
Flake.
It's the same thick glasses, the same hair, white dude wearing like jeans and like a button-up shirt. I'm like, I remember being on that plane with like McBeard. I'm like, That's me. That's me. That's me on the video.
They used my likeness. Where's my royalty for that?
Seriously, I took pictures of like the screen. I was like, I'm gonna have to call the
Yeah.
Mr. Lot and ask
Polish
him about
Airlines, hello.
Yes, hello. I'm the guy from the video.
Yeah. Why'd you use me? If you want to do like a live performance, I'm your guy.
Basically.
Plus, you know a lot of Polish words like pierogi, pączki, bigos, all that stuff. Dzień dobry dzieci, all that.
Exactly.
Stuff.
Yeah. I'm gonna be there on the thing. I'll just be like, dzień dobry dzieci. Dzisiaj mamy bigos i duże pączki dzisiaj. Wow! Wow!
Oh, so good.
Yeah. I mean, I worked at Air Canada for 5 years. I used to train flight attendants on social media etiquette, which is great,
Nice.
considering that I have none. So it's good.
No, your social media etiquette is good. You're either not posting or you're posting 20 tweets per second.
Yeah, I know. I go on these sort of spurts.
That's awesome.
But I have to be more careful now because I see tweets from people and I just want to be like, dude, this is why you're a donkey, and I can't say it.
You need to react. You need to react.
Basically, I'm like, come on, man. Like, you are absolutely the entire circus right now. Like, let's be real. Like, the total full-on packed-in clown car of a tweet, but I'm not gonna say it, because I can't, But yeah, I don't know, man. There are people where I'm like, man, oh man, do you even know
what's
how
going
dumb
on?
you look?
Yeah.
I can't say those. And I don't. I'd rather not pick fights in that. It's the internet, man. Like, you'll never win.
Exactly. Never win. That's true. All right, man. It was awesome. As always, we'll see each other soon next week in person, which is incredible. Yeah.
So this is what we have to decide, because
yeah,
do we record CCG Insider live, or do we do it on the Tuesday instead? And then if that's the case, are we doing a live stream together? Because we could actually live stream us eating punchki, having a good time, just doing a little...
We'll be doing some live streaming for sure.
Okay,
for
cool.
sure. Easy clap.
Perfect.
But yeah, for Insider, we need to decide how we do that, because
I think it should be on Tuesday.
I think it also should be on Tuesday due to me having one microphone set up. I would need to have a 2 microphone setup for us to talk.
Yeah.
Yep, it's
yep.
done properly. Cool.
Coolio.
Man, always a pleasure. Thank you for joining me on Twig. Thank you everybody for watching and tuning in. We also will be throwing this over to YouTube, so thank you for watching there. And yeah, I think we should always end it like we end Flurza or CCG Insider in this case, by saying, I love you, man.
I love you, man. Yeah, and don't forget, you're not losing if you're learning. So keep playing the game. You might win.
Exactly. Awesome. Bye.
Bye.